Right to our panel now. David Corn, Washington Bureau Chief of Mother Jones and MSNBC political analyst, and the Republican strategist Ron Christie. Good day to both of you. We'll get to the contempt charge against Eric Holder in a moment. But first, Ron, I want to get your reaction to what's happened today. We watched Governor Romney, as you like to call him, stand up in front of that plastic podium and offer the usual stuff. I hate Obamacare, I'll repeal Obamacare, but where's his alternative? And what are Republicans saying about that?
Well, one thing, good afternoon, Martin. I think that this was a terrible decision. I think that the administration never billed this as being a tax. The folks in Congress never said this was going to be a tax. And the Chief Justice wrote and interpreted the law in a way that wasn't the congressional intent. At the same time, however, I think Republicans would be very wise to say, we don't like Obamacare, but here's what we're for. I think one provision that's very simple is to say, let's change ERISA so that you can buy insurance across state lines to make it cheaper for people to have insurance. We would be very wise to come up with very specific plans, very specific details that I think Governor Romney and House Republicans and Senate folks would be very wise to do.
I'm sorry to put this to you, Ron, but this appears to be a consistent theme with this presidential candidate. He has nothing to say and avoids the cameras on immigration after the president makes a very clear statement on allowing the children of law-abiding, illegal, undocumented immigrants to stay here and not be deported. He says nothing. And then on this, he stands up and again attacks the president, but offers nothing constructive.
Well, on immigration, of course, the president acted in an extra-constitutional manner. We can debate the legality of that.
No, but that's not what I'm asking you about, Ron. I'm just asking you. I'm asking you if you believe that Romney is a consistently vacuous candidate.
Absolutely not.
On matters of importance.
No, absolutely
not. So on immigration,
not.
On health care, he's full of content.
This president has had 2 years of a democratically controlled Congress. He has offered no leadership on immigration. I think Governor Romney, again, would be very wise to be very specific, but he's smart, recognizing that we'd be in a situation like you and I are right here, where they're going to attack, rather than look at the merits of his proposal.
Okay. Well, David, let's talk about contempt, because as you can probably see, David, Democratic members have walked out of the House as a protest against a vote to hold the Attorney General in contempt. What is your reaction to what's been going on today compared with what the Supreme Court decided earlier?
I think this is just the perfect capstone to what happened this morning, and I'll pivot off or play off what you just talked to Ron about. Not only did Romney not talk about what he would do if he got rid of Obamacare, all these provisions there that already gone into effect, kids getting on their parents' plan, pre-existing conditions for children, fixing the donut hole for senior citizens.
33 million people.
All that stuff he would rip aside. He's very clear. He would throw that aside and won't tell us what he would do to replace it with. And then this afternoon, you have the Republicans who have promised. They have promised to vote on that sort of repeal. Repeal without any replacement, just repeal in a week or two. And yet, they're spending their time today having this this contempt citation against Holder, which is at best marginal. I don't like when administrations use executive privilege to keep information in general, but Darrell Issa was a big fan of the Bush administration doing it when there was a scandal involving the U.S. attorneys back in those days, and now he's doing this in pursuit of a crazy conspiracy theory that somehow the Obama administration purposefully walked guns to Mexico in order to impose greater gun control laws here, which of course they haven't advocated at all.
Well, David,
so it's all just a lot of nuttiness, and it's incidental to both the problem on the Mexican border, which is what to do about those guns, which Republicans have opposed all policy ideas to do something about that, and has nothing to do with the big picture items that people have in their lives.
Well, let me just inject a little reality here. The reality of the fact of the matter is this. Last year, the Department of Justice sent up a letter to Congress and said specifically that the Department of Justice had no knowledge and that there was no gun walking going to Mexico. 10 months later, they retracted that statement, and it was proven to be incorrect.
Did you read the Fortune magazine story yesterday, Ron?
Yes, I did. Now,
and the gun walking involved one case?
Wait, Martin, yes. Wait. Are you going to actually allow me to finish
I will,
my
but can I just ask you?
He got about 40 seconds.
He did, but Ron, let me just put this to you. In that Fortune magazine, they identified 20 suspects. Agents identified 20 suspects. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go to cameras at the Hill because the Democratic members of Congress are speaking right now. We're expecting them, as I say, to make comments. They've just literally walked out of a hearing and a vote to hold the Attorney General, Eric Holder, in contempt. If I may, Ron, I want to ask you what you think of this whole scenario, this whole situation. Isn't this a fiasco?
I think it's unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate that the Attorney General of the United States was not more forthcoming with information about documents.
He's offered 7,300 documents.
The documents that we need here are this, Martin. The question of the matter is, what happened in that 10-month period of time between when the Department of Justice said specifically that there was not a gun walking program?
I'm
going to answer your question.
You know because you worked with the Vice President
and with
that if every single communication between yourself and those very important individual members of government were revealed, it would have a chilling effect. The Attorney General is seeking to protect.
No, absolutely. That's absolutely wrong.
That's not what he's trying to do.
No. Executive privilege, excuse me, David, executive privilege is for communications between the President of the United States and his closest advisors in the White House. This privilege has not actually been identified by the White House or by the Department of Justice as to specifically why they're invoking it, Martin.